Join me for a Christmas story about the power of gift-giving. Della counted the money again. $1.87. She had saved for months, pinching pennies from the grocery budget, haggling with the butcher, walking home instead of taking the streetcar. Tomorrow was Christmas, and $1.87 was all she had. She flopped onto the shabby little couch and howled. Not daintily, the way women were supposed to cry with handkerchiefs pressed to trembling lips, but openly, with the full force of her frustration at arithmetic that wouldn't bend to love. She wanted to buy Jim a present. Not just any present, a present worthy of him, worthy of what he was to her. And $1.87 would buy nothing worthy of anything. The apartment was small. 2 rooms that called themselves a flat, held together by their hope, more than by the landlord's maintenance. The furniture was second-hand. The carpet was threadbare. But there were 2 possessions in that flat that both Della and Jim took fierce pride in. One was Jim's gold watch. It had belonged to his father and to his father's father before that. It was the kind of heirloom that made you feel connected to something larger than your small life in your small apartment, working your small job. Jim had no chain worthy of the watch. He sometimes pulled it out almost shamefacedly, glancing at it quickly rather than displaying it. The watch deserved better. The other possession was Della's hair. Della stood before the mirror and let her hair down. It rippled past her knees in a brown cascade that caught the light and held it. If Queen Sheba had lived in the apartment below, she would have hung her jewels out the window to dry just to depreciate the splendor of Della's hair. If King Solomon had been the janitor, with all his treasures piled in the basement, Della would have walked past without a second glance, knowing what she carried was finer. She looked at her hair in the mirror, then she looked at the money on the table. Then she put on her old brown jacket and old brown hat and fluttered out the door and down the stairs to the street. She stopped at a shop with a sign reading MME Sofroni, hair goods of all kinds. "Will you buy my hair?" Della asked. Madame lifted the mass of brown waves with practiced hands. $20. "Give it to me quick," said Della. The next 2 hours were spent ransacking the stores for Jim's present. She found it at last, a platinum watch chain, simple and elegant, worthy of the watch. It would make Jim finally bring out his treasure with pride, fasten it properly, consult it openly. Every time he checked the hour, he would feel that someone understood what that watch meant to him. She paid $21 for it. She went home with 87 cents and the chain and what was left of her hair, short, tight curls that made her look like a schoolboy. She heated the curling irons and went to work on the damage, trying to make herself look less shorn, less sacrificed. By 7 o'clock, the coffee was made and the frying pan was hot, ready for the chops. Jim would be home any minute. The door opened and Jim stepped in. He stopped cold, his eyes fixed on Della with an expression she couldn't read. Not anger exactly, not disappointment, something stranger, as if he were looking at her from very far away, working through a problem that had just become much more complex. "Jim, darling," Della cried, "don't look at me that way. I had my hair cut off and sold it because I couldn't have lived through Christmas without giving you a present. It'll grow back, you won't mind, will you? I just had to do it. My hair grows awfully fast. Say Merry Christmas, Jim, and let's be happy. You don't know what a beautiful, nice gift I've got for you. You've cut off your hair?" said Jim laboriously, as if he had not arrived at that fact yet even after the hardest mental labor. "Cut it off and sold it," said Della. "Don't you like me just as well anyhow? I'm me without my hair, ain't I?" Jim seemed to wake from his trance. He drew a package from his overcoat pocket and threw it upon the table. "Don't make any mistake, Dell," he said, "about me. I don't think there's anything in the way of a haircut or a shave or a shampoo that could make me like my girl any less. But if you'll unwrap that package, you may see why you had me going a while at first." Della's white fingers tore at the paper, and then an ecstatic scream of joy, and then, alas, a quick feminine change to hysterical tears. For there lay the combs, the set of tortoise-shell combs with jeweled rims that Della had worshipped for months in a Broadway window. Beautiful combs, pure tortoise-shell, with jeweled rims, just the shade to wear in the beautiful vanished hair. They were expensive combs, she knew, and her heart had simply craved them without the least hope of possession. And now they were hers. But the hair that should have adorned them was gone. She held them to her chest and managed to look up with dim eyes and a smile. "My hair grows so fast, Jim." Then Della jumped up like a little singed cat and cried, "Oh, oh!" She had not yet given Jim his present. She held it out to him eagerly upon her open palm. The precious metal seemed to catch every ray of light in the room. "Isn't it a dandy, Jim? I hunted all over town to find it. You'll have to look at the time 100 times a day now. Give me your watch. I want to see how it looks on it." Instead of obeying, Jim tumbled down on the couch and put his hands behind his head and smiled. "Dell," said he, "let's put our Christmas presents away and keep 'em a while. They're too nice to use just at present." The smile had something sad in it, something knowing. "I sold the watch to get the money to buy your combs." The Magi, as you know, were wise men, wonderfully wise men, who brought gifts to the newborn king in the manger. They invented the art of giving Christmas presents. Being wise, their gifts were no doubt wise ones, possibly bearing the privilege of exchange in case of duplication. But in a last word to the wise of these days, let it be said that of all who give gifts, these two were among the wisest. Of all who give and receive gifts, they were the wisest. Everywhere. They were the Magi. Some would call them foolish. What is a watch chain without a watch? What are combs without hair? The gifts were useless, invalidated before they were even exchanged. But those who called Jim and Della foolish missed the point entirely. They did not buy each other objects. They bought proof. Proof that each was willing to give up what they loved most, not for something in return, but for the joy of giving worthy of the other. The sacrifice itself was the gift. The willingness to let go of what mattered was the message. A watch chain with no watch still says, "I know what you treasure, I wanted to honor it." Combs with no hair still say, "I saw you admiring these, I wanted you to have them." And underneath both gifts, the real gift. "You matter more to me than anything I have." They fed the marriage, not the transaction. In the economy of accumulation, they made a terrible trade. Two treasures converted to two useless objects. But in a different economy, they made the only trade worth making. They let go. They gave from their center, not from their surplus. And the marriage grew richer than any watch or hair could have made it.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more. Share to help the channel grow.